Hey everybody, we're back and it's time for yet another great episode of the Tommy Maroon Sports Show. Of course, it's Wednesday, so you know what that means. I am here, I am ready for what should be more fun and excitement. And you know it's right here in WCTV because where else would it be? And of course, my question is right here. And I remember last week, my question was this: who won the original XFL championship game? You got your answer, folks? I hope you do. Because the correct answer is Los Angeles Extreme, not the EXTREME. Extreme with an X at the beginning, where Tommy Maddox was QBing them to beat the San Francisco Demons. Yes, I'm not making this up. All of this was true. Of course, before we get to the XFL, we need to look at the Cleveland Cavaliers, your local, homegrown Cleveland Cavaliers. Looking at some player stats right here, which including Colin Sexton with 20.7 points per game, Kevin Love 17.6 points per game, 9 rebounds per game, Andre Drummond 17.7 points per game, 15.3 rebounds per game, and Tristan Thompson with 12 points per game and 10.1 rebounds per game. And by the way, no high school basketball to talk about because all the teams now in the Suburban League are done with. So what's the point in doing that? Of course, this year was a really great season. And I hope to look or see you guys next year where I will be commentating on more high school basketball on Highland and Sports Network. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell icon on like our videos, of course, for YouTube. Highland Sports Network. We're on Twitter. Follow us there. We got a good following on Twitter. So anyways, Cavs this season, by the way, we will be calling the baseball games for high school baseball, Highland home baseball games, so I can't wait for that. But anyways, the Cavs 19-45, 14th in the Eastern Conference. This was heading into the game against the Bulls yesterday. And the Hawks and Warriors, they're the only teams with a worse record. And I believe we are now dead last or something like that. 10 games back of Orlando for the 8th seed. And we were half a game back of Detroit and 1 game back of New York. You know what New York says? Did James Dolan sell the team? And I would say stuff, but yet again, James Dolan's cousin is Paul Dolan, the guy who we all hate, and a guy who has been with the Cleveland Indians, albeit not as sharply and not as bad as James Dolan's been doing it, but still, oh well, baseball season hasn't started yet, neither for high school or MLB, which I might do both. I mean, definitely will do the Indians. Don't know about high school baseball, but when I'm announcing it, you know I should. So, I don't know because it'll be a little hard and stuff. But anyways, sorry if I'm contradicting myself. We need to look at some of the scores, which include the Cavs against the Nuggets, where the Cavs upset Denver 104-102. I'm not kidding. We upset Denver. We went to 19-44, and then Denver, 18-45. Denver went to 41-21. Kevin Love put up 27 points for your Cavs. The young bull had 25. Tristan Thompson with 9 points and 13 rebounds. And look at Sexton right there with a nice easy shot that he got in. So, of course, for Denver then, Will Barton put up 22 points, and Gary Harris had 18. The Cavs led for most of the second half, contrary to what that 19-9 score said right there. Now, after that, we continued our Western Conference play when we played the San Antonio Spurs, and we beat the Spurs 132-119 in overtime. And with that, we went to 19-45. San Antonio to 26-36 as the Spurs' quest to keep their big 22-year playoff streak alive is at risk now, and I really doubt they're going to make it because you have so many great teams. Los Angeles, the Lakers have clinched, and the Clippers, and you have Houston, Denver, OKC, Dallas, Utah, and Memphis. So a lot of great stuff right there. Excuse me. Anyways, Andre Drummond had 28 points and 17 rebounds. Larry Nance Jr., 19 points and 10 rebounds. Kevin Love, 14 points and 18 rebounds. Yes, our big players were definitely rebounding for sure. And DeMar DeRozan, the former Raptor, had 25 points. Bryn Forbes with 19. And it was the second time we have gone to overtime with the Spurs this year, and we have won both those games. Then the Cavs at the Bulls last night at the United Center, where Chicago won at 108-103. We went to 19-46. Chicago 22-43. Both teams look like they won't be able to make the playoffs. So, Kobe White for Chicago, 20 points. Wendell Carter Jr. with 17. Denzel Valentine had 15 points. And then Colin Sexton had 26. Andre Drummond, 21.7 rebounds. It was a back-and-forth game through and through. So there is a lot more excitement coming up with the Cavs and all that great stuff. But now time to go to the XFL. And unfortunately for the XFL, attendance and ratings have really gone down, which is kind of ironic because this week we saw some of the rowdiest fans of the year, including Houston against Seattle, where the Roughnecks had their biggest crowd this season, a part of a 32-23 victory for the Roughnecks, obviously showing how dominant they are with an incredible 5-0 record, and Seattle falls to 1-4. P.J. Walker, a man who is definitely going to be, an MVP for the XFL, 27 for 38, 351 yards, 3 touchdowns and 2 picks. That was a very rare miscue by PJ right there. Cam Phillips, one of his big targets, 10 receptions, 122 yards, got 2 of the touchdowns. BJ Daniels for Seattle went 14 for 22 with 114 yards. Austin Prohl for Seattle, the son of Ricky Prohl, 3 receptions, 56 yards. Seattle was up 23-14, and watching that, I thought the Dragons were actually going to upset Houston. And then Daniels had a big fumble in the fourth quarter that helped seal Houston's victory. It was the same guy that had that big interception last week against Dallas. Speaking of Dallas, New York Guardians against the Dallas Renegades. And who won it? New York did by a final score of 30-12. And New York went to 3-2, Dallas 2-3. Luis Perez has been doing a great job so far for New York. 16 for 30, 229 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 pick. Colby Pearson had 5 receptions, 95 yards, and 1 touchdown for New York. And not just that, but now we need to look at Dallas. Philip Nelson, 26 for 49, 210 yards, and 2 interceptions. It was a 6-6 tie at halftime, and Austin Walter had a 97-yard kickoff return for a touchdown for Dallas in the third quarter, but it was 2-2-8 as they're still looking for a big win at Globe Life Park in Arlington. No, not Globe Life Field, where the Rangers will be playing soon, but Globe Life Park in Arlington, their former home. So then, speaking of big crowds, DC probably had the best fans this week, and it was against the St. Louis Battlehawks. DC won it 15-6, making them go to 13-2. St. Louis fell down to 3-2 as well. And finally, DC gets to show that they really mean business. Jerome Presley had 15 attempts, 107 yards, and 1 touchdown. Jordan Ta'amu for St. Louis, 15 for 25, 174 yards. And Damian Washington for the Battlehawks, 5 receptions, 114 yards. And Matt Jones for St. Louis had 13 carries and 70 yards. There was only 1 touchdown during the game. It was by DC in the first quarter. And this is, you see that line right in the middle of it? That is a beer snake, a 1,237 cup long beer snake. And guess what happened? The XFL commissioner, Oliver Luck, yes, the father of Andrew Luck, who got all of Indianapolis upset when he retired, even though he had a great season and great career. But anyways, as I was saying, Oliver Luck, of course, the commissioner of the XFL, went to the game, grabbed the cup, and added it on to the huge snake. Houston and DC are really showcasing that they have big fans. Seattle and St. Louis do. I mean, yes, the XFL's attendance has been struggling and ratings have been struggling, but some optimistic stuff. They have some diehard fans. Even the players are saying this is a different atmosphere, a much better atmosphere, as I am stretching about that and looking up to the heavens because, unfortunately, the beer snake, unfortunately, passed away the next day. As I tried to honor him right there, they threw him away. They tweeted about it, the DC Defenders. A very sad day. And then later on, the Los Angeles Wildcats played the Tampa Bay Vipers in what has to be one of the best games this season at 9 o'clock on Sunday Eastern Standard Time. The Wildcats won a crazy 41-34 victory against the Vipers, which meant Los Angeles went to 2-3 and Tampa went to 1-4. Tampa has the worst record in all the XFL. Josh Johnson for the Wildcats, 20 for 36, 288 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Jordan Smallwood had 4 receptions and 86 yards for LA. Taylor Cornelius for Tampa, 22 for 34, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. Jalen Tolliver for Tampa, 4 receptions, 95 yards, and 1 touchdown. Tampa was up 17-0, and Cornelius was intercepted late in the fourth quarter when the Vipers were just 7 yards away. 7 yards away from trying to tie it. Heck, they could have, used that 2-point conversion. Because remember, the XFL, there's a 1-point conversion from the 2-yard line, 2-point conversion from the 5, and a 3-point conversion from the 10-yard line. This was a rule the original XFL had, as carried over here. So, here's some big breaking news out of the football video game industry. And it has to do with 2K. You see that on your screen? And you know what it is? It's a new multi-year partnership between 2K and the NFL for non-simulation games. As IGN says it, 2K is bringing back football. Sort of. Because remember, this is IGN, a company that gets bribed by EA every year to give Madden an 8 out of 10. You know what they say? You can't spell ignorant without IGN. So this will be starting 2021. The games, I believe, will be arcade-based, and it will be the first NFL 2K game since the legendary and famous ESPN NFL 2K5, and it will be the first 2K football game since All-Pro Football 2K8, which is not relying on the NFL or NFLPA, but rather on legends and teams that closely resemble, NFL teams. So what does this mean for football video games? Well, EA does not have competition yet. It's still the only simulation football game. And this was EA's statement, by the way. By the way, you're looking at ESPN NFL 2K5, the greatest football game they ever made. This was EA's statement. EA Sports, this is what they say, by the way, excuse me. And as I quote, EA Sports is the exclusive publisher of NFL simulation games, and our partnership with the NFL and NFLPA remains unchanged, which is very depressing. Our agreements have always allowed for non-exclusive development of non-simulation non-simulation games on various platforms. Again, very depressing. Our commitment to NFL fans, which spans almost 30 years and has been ruined since the last 15 years, may I say, has never been stronger. Yeah, I wish. And we're having our biggest year yet. And when they mean biggest year yet, biggest year of giving gamers absolute garbage on a hot plate. Madden NFL 20 is the most successful game ever in the franchise. And when they mean most successful game ever in the franchise, they mean robbing people, ripping people off, and making a lot of money because there are poor saps like you watching who are donating so much money to the uncharitable cause of Madden Ultimate Team. And new modes like Superstar KO and our Madden NFL esports broadcasts are growing the fan base. Notice how they only mentioned one new mode because that's the only thing, because Face of the franchise was bad. And Superstar KOs were the Ultimate Team and just a watered down bad version of NFL Street. And the esports broadcasts are pretty bad in my opinion. The announcers are yelling and screaming in my ear, and it's very ridiculous. We'll be building on that momentum with more and new different experiences. Yeah, right. And on more platforms and with new ways in the years to come. Pinocchio, your nose is growing. It is 10 miles long. It is absolutely ridiculous. You are clotheslining people with your nose, Pinocchio, EA. But anyways, you know what? That game is so bad. All you need to do to win is wheel routes, angle routes, pass plays 10, 15 yards up the middle, and the halfback stretch. I would go into more explanation for that, but we're here to talk about 2K. So EA Sports does not have competition, of course. And if 2K makes a good football game, I say if in all caps because I'm not sure about this, we may have competition again. This will be the first time we would have competition since 2004. EA could overthrow 2K, or it could be overthrown by 2K. And the EA 2K rivalry of years past may be coming back. So what are my thoughts about 2K making a football game, you may be asking? It's going to be a catastrophic disaster. Are you kidding? I was the only one that was upset about this. This is 2K, a company that rips people off. I've said this for a long time. And let me say this again, folks. You know what is so ironic? It's that if 2K were to bring back football, the games would be bad and microtransaction based because that's what they've become. As bad as EA is for microtransactions, 2K is down there and might be worse. The only reason why 2K did this is not to make a good game, but to make more money. And the only reason why it's arcade-based, okay, you may say because EA has simulation. They're making arcade-based because you know where 2K gets all its money from? My park, my team, my player. All microtransactions. You know, as much as I hate EA, at least they don't have microtransactions in franchise mode and career mode yet. That's subject to change soon. I mean, it's going to be like NFL Street, but done horribly wrong. There's going to be even worse acting and horrible cutscenes. You watch the 2K cutscenes, I can do better acting, and I don't know the first thing to theater stuff. I stink at it. I can't do it. Yet I'd be a much better actor than all of those horrible actors in 2K. They'd be better off starring in a 1950s, 60s monster movie where they belong because of how stupid it is. Oh my God, you know what you think about 2K? You can think about it like the Star Wars prequels. This is what I like to call the Star Wars prequel effect. I'm not a Star Wars fan. I know I've just upset a lot of my fan base now if you're a Star Wars fan, but I'm no Star Wars fan, but I know from friends and family who've seen Star Wars, they were all excited to watch the Star Wars prequel series, episodes 1, 2, and 3, and when they went to the theater, all they got was a huge, what they call a CGI mess. That's going to be 2K, a CGI mess, folks. You think I'm going way off the edge, but I have a good point. This is a prime example of the Star Wars prequels effect. So yeah, it's going to be a waste of time and a waste of money. This is going to ruin other 2K franchises, as we will definitely reflect on NHL 2K, which died after NHL 2K11 because they didn't give a darn about that. And then MLB 2K died after MLB 2K13 because they didn't give a darn about that. And now WWE 2K is dying because they don't give a darn about that. They don't give a darn about anything. So, if you're Ronnie and watching this, I'd like to say that you've ruined 2K. You're as cheap as EA, and what you're doing is going to hurt the customer. I know you don't care about anything but money, but is it really going to hurt you to make a good product? You used to make good games on the PS2, even the PS3. I think those games are kind of overrated, but you know what? At least those games are decent, folks. So what's the difference in this era and the upcoming PlayStation 5, which is going to come out by the end of the year? Just make a good game and don't rip off the customer for once. Is it going to kill you, Ronnie? You cheap, greedy CEO executive. Only in it for the money. Oh my God, you ever feel like you're talking to an audience of nobody? This is how I feel with Madden. This is how the entire Madden fan base feels, and this is how the whole 2K fan base feels. 2K is the most overrated game on the block. Very microtransaction based, albeit a good franchise mode and a good my player mode, but that is way too much money you are wasting. I mean, EA is really bad, 2K is bad, NHL is mediocre, MLB The Show and NASCAR Heat are good. If you want a good game, play MLB The Show and play NASCAR Heat. I enjoy those games. My friends enjoy those games. I'm really looking forward to the next MLB The Show 20. Unfortunately, Javi Baez is on the cover. As an Indians fan, I do not approve of that. Lousy World Series. But anyways, well, folks, I guess that'll do it for this week. So my trivia question right here is, what was the original name of the XFL Championship game? That's right, before it was called the $1 Million Game, what was the ridiculous name it had before the $1 Million Game in 2001? Because we will be answering that one on our next episode of the Tommy Maroon Sports Show right here on WCTV.